Good morning. It's 6:30 KHOW, Denver's talk station, 7 minutes after the hour, 6:07, Thursday morning, the 17th of August, 006. 92 will be the high, and the answer to everybody's questions is no. Let's do this. Please say good morning and welcome back. And, boy, you talk about having a colleague. We went through so much in this entire investigation. She is now a correspondent with Fox News, and we were colleagues, and she was with 850 KOA, and I spent a lot of time in Boulder with this woman. Please say good morning to Carol McKinley. Good morning.
Hey, Peter, how you doing?
You know what? I was, like so many people, I had never heard this man's name before.
No, never heard of him. In fact, some of the early reports. Do you hear me, Peter?
I do. I hear you well. Thank you.
Okay, I'm getting a strange connection.
That's okay. No, we're cool.
Some of the early reports are that he'd been actually interviewed before on this case, but none of the early investigators had ever heard of him, including people who worked on the Ramsey side.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to run it down. There were a lot of rumors.
Mm-hmm.
At first, we had heard that he might be a CU professor. We ran that down. Barry Hartman over at CU was adamant that nobody's ever heard of the guy. We did a check on his addresses. He's never lived in Colorado. There's no link with any of his family in Colorado.
He never paid any taxes here.
Yeah, and so you have to wonder, did the guy just cruise through Boulder one week, rent a hotel room, do a drive-by murder, and go back home? You know, I mean, the guy never spent time here, although he did spend some time in Georgia.
His ex-wife is on the wire saying, I'll read it to you. She said he was with her in Alabama, Christmas night, 1996. His brother says he was there. The dad said he thought he was dead. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, but
well,
Nate,
hasn't. The family hasn't heard from him since June of 2001, and because that's when he fled the country on those child porn charges in California.
He's got 3 kids with the missus. And
so now the brother and the missus. The brother told us that they were at a family gathering on Christmas Eve of 2006. But was that family gathering in Alabama?
96 in Alabama.
Huh. Well, they've got to come up with some pictures
then. Well, last night, the last thing I heard was that the brother thinks there are pictures, but it's not confirmed. The thing that's interesting to me is the involvement of none other than Michael Tracy in this. It wasn't the Boulder investigators or the PD or the Sheriff's Department or Lou Schmidt or the New Set of Eyes. Michael Tracy.
Well, Michael Tracy's writing a book, and he's tried to sell his documentary. I mean, he's got motivation to try to get his name out there for sure. Like, he couldn't find a publisher for his book.
No. And I've told the story, and I think you were the witness in the old Lawrence Street green room when he brought that film crew in. And I said I would go do an interview with him, but we would have to do it live on KHOW Radio. You remember that morning?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we'll play a game, Michael. You can set all your cameras up, and you and I come on the air together. We'll go live. You roll your film, and for every question you get to ask me, I get to ask you one back. And I said, do you want to do that? And he said no. And remember, there was another guy, Dan Glicksman, I think, was with him.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, they all their jaws got locked, and they left.
Oh, Dan Glick?
Dan Glick.
The guy from Newsweek?
Yeah, they all got mad and left.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what makes me very frustrated, and it brings back old memories of this John Bonet case. People were hysteric yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you blew out the Middle East, which had been wall to wall on all the cable shows. You had a diverted plane yesterday with a very serious possible terrorist act on the plane, which turned out to be nothing. But the John Bonet case, once again, blows out all world news when you've got people dying overseas. Then the hysteria that there's an arrest in the case, and it's really not correct. There's an arrest having to do with the child porn charges.
Yeah.
They're bringing him to the States for questioning in John Bonet. Get that straight, because that was not straight. You had people like Pam Paw, who's Patsy's sister,
Crazy Aunt
saying
Pam.
that her sister's exonerated, and
I've heard it all.
She's looking down from heaven, and I wish I could hug her for the day that
John Ramsey apparently is going to be on 850 KOA. I can't get him to come over here, but
right. Well, yeah, and that's okay.
Oh, sure. I mean,
that's all right. I mean, it's just that all day we hear about an arrest in the case.
I watched
There's not an arrest in the case.
No.
There's an arrest on something else, and then they're going to question the guy.
He was.
You know what? If it's him, Peter, That is fantastic. Let's have a trial and
Absolutely.
figure out what happened. I really want to know.
Absolutely. I said, if this is the guy, that's good. That's great. It's terrific. It puts everything to bed. But I got so many questions, and there's so many holes in this.
Well, let's find out if the DNA matches, that wonderful unidentified DNA we've heard about so many times. Mm-hmm. Let's find out if that matches. Let's look at his handwriting. Let's see where he was that night. Let's see what he did with the duct tape roll.
Yeah,
where's the ligature?
You get in this idea that he was with her and he killed her and it was an accident, thumping somebody on the back of the head with what I believe was a Malta batteried flashlight, and then
I'd like, yeah.
I mean, let me read down. By the way, Carol McKinley, Peter Boyle's K-How Radio. Thank God, although my wife wanted to throw all this junk out, I kept this stuff back from when you and I were together. And so I made a list of things. So after he, by accident, kills her, he then locates her pink Barbie nightgown. He locates a change of shirt, remember the Avalanche jersey, for John Bonet. He finds a cloth and wipes down her thighs. He pulls up her panties. He changes her shirt. He covers her with a blanket. He takes off
He puts the Barbie nightgown under her head so her head doesn't hurt on the concrete.
Right. But he has to find the Barbie nightgown. He runs off towards the so-called suitcase window. He worms his way through that, pushes up the grate, and makes a lot of noise, but nobody hears him, hoists himself out. There's one left shoe print from a different brand found in the so-called body room. No additional prints from his entry or his exit, and he melts away.
Well, and the Boulder police tell me over and over again that window entry can't be a point of entry because there were cobwebs lining that window well.
Remember,
lining the window well that weren't disturbed, and they didn't get pictures. That's the problem.
Yeah. Remember,
they can tell us about those spider webs all they want.
Nobody went in or out that window, and besides, if we're to believe that he came in the door, that the latch...
What door?
The front door. Remember that?
That door was left open by John Fernie. One of the friends opened it later.
I know that. But remember, people said, well, if he went in the front door, why didn't he go back out the front door?
But the doors were locked.
Of course they were.
So, there's just a lot. There's a lot of questions, and let's see. The guy looks great on paper. If he's into child porn,
yeah.
He's kind of moved all over the country. His family hasn't seen him. He does look great on paper, but there's been a lot of other suspects that are nuts in this case that we thought could have possibly done this.
Listen, remember when they being the family, blamed Linda Hoffman Pugh and Steve Thomas? They went out to the trailer because Patsy said it was about the money.
Right.
Then they blamed Santa Claus McReynolds. Then they blamed Chris Wolf.
Well, they blamed Fleet White.
They blamed Fleet White.
They blamed Gary Oliva, who's mentally ill.
That's right.
Who wasn't, none of his DNA matched. None of his fibers or hairs matched. They blamed Michael Helgoff, who committed suicide on February 13th after the day. There have been a lot of people who they have blamed. And you know what? The emails were written also to Patsy Ramsey.
From this guy?
Yeah, he also emailed Patsy Ramsey.
But only after being in this email conversation with none other than Michael Tracy.
Right, and my suspicion is Michael Tracy probably gave Patsy Ramsey's email to him, and he might have gotten more information on the case from Patsy Ramsey and maybe established some kind of relationship with her. But they say that he knew information about the killer that no one else knew.
But I talked to,
I'd be interested in hearing.
Yeah, but Paula Woodward said last night, then there was stuff that he said that wasn't true. And I spoke with Bill Wise last night, and Bill was Alex Hunter's chief deputy, and he said he never heard of this guy's name. Now, they claim in 96 the cops spoke with him. Well, 96 was 10 years ago, and Bill was on the job. They haven't been on the job up there for 4 years. Now, Bill said, I never heard this guy's name. This guy, my belief is what the family believes, is this guy he's a twist cap, but he also was enamored, apparently, in the Petaluma Klaas kidnapping, and all he did was read about both of these stories. And remember that case, Paulie.
Yeah.
Remember that he was enamored with that and enamored with the Ramseys.